Hey everybody, Daniel Ramsey here, and today I have the unique privilege of speaking with Stephen Koleno. Now, here's the coolness. He's a Jared James coaching client, going to do hopefully 300 transactions this year. We're just talking about numbers. It could be 299, maybe 301. So we're going to hit some numbers, hopefully. And I'm excited because he's going to share with us about his experience with MyOutDesk and working with Kenny, one of his virtual professionals. So, hey, Stephen, thanks for being here today.
You got it. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, brother, let's talk first about your story. Like, how did you get started in real estate?
Yeah, and I do have a unique story, and I think a lot of that will fit into why our numbers are larger than the average agent, I think. But I was an engineer by trade, so I pick up on technology pretty easy. So I kind of gravitate towards technology before people. Hard to find good, solid
people. You're a nerd. You're a nerd.
Pretty much.
I love it.
I like to lean towards technology, but when back in 2006 and 7, started buying just rental properties with an old high school buddy of mine. By our fourth property, I got licensed, and we ended up buying, I think, 23 properties in 2007. By the time we got to our 27th property, I quit my full-time job as an engineer for a healthcare company. I worked there for 12 years, and real estate was going to be my life, but not as a realtor. It was all going to be as an investor. And we started basically buying rental properties. Long story short, everything from 27 to we got to about, I ended up buying 73 single-family homes with high school buddies or friends and group of investors back between up until 2009 to 2010, say. But we all know what happened in 2009, 10. Right. So what happened, we owned about 65 single family homes, and it was hard to even have one person own one home, right? They felt it. So we really did feel it. So we lasted to about 2012, and then I had to go, even though I love being self-employed and it was awesome experience and I made some money, but I went through the ups and downs. By about 2012, 13, I had to figure out this isn't working, and we were kind of exiting out of the rental business.
Yep.
I ended up landing with some big private equity funds, which were starting to buy the foreclosures.
Got it.
So my first, so I could have went back and been a project engineer or something like that, but I still loved real estate. It changed my life for a few years, and then it was pretty tough for a few years. But that's really what led me. So I ended up basically becoming an employee again, which was tough, but becoming an employee for companies that were going to buy thousands of homes.
Right.
I joined a company out of New York, and we started buying homes here in Chicago, and I was basically helping with operations, set up operations.
Yeah.
They ended up buying about 280 homes, and then they called it quits. I ended up having to keep looking for a job, and I ended up with the largest publicly traded company doing single family rentals because of my experience at that time.
Yep.
So that experience was priceless. I became vice president within a year, ran a team of 46 people in 3 states. And we managed 4,900 single family homes with 46 people.
So you're a systems guy. You had to be.
It's almost why I have to tell you my story a little bit, because if I tell you what I do now, that's how we handle it. I mean, once we get into the nitty gritty of 300, everything is a system. So I see it now. I didn't see it then. It was just a job. But looking back, you're like, this is why we're more successful than somebody else. We've seen systems on large scales.
Yep.
That even with that company, we rented 252 homes in 1 month in Indianapolis. Jeez. With a team underneath me. But long story short, went out to one more corporate institutional provider and ended up becoming their leasing manager in 2 states. And that's where I got more into sales. I gravitated towards the sales part. Yep. And people used to tell me, but I never had a sales job.
Right.
But that's where I gravitated to. So it took me later in life to figure that out. But I ended up running a team of 8 like high performance leasing agents. I had 6 assistants. We did 1,253 rentals on the MLS in 2016.
Jeez.
So we won some awards and got in certain magazines, and that kind of helped me when I finally decided to do what I really should have did 25 years ago. Become a regular real estate agent, work with the public.
Yeah.
So I've only just started working with the public about 28 months ago.
Okay. So you're 2 years in, I've got to, I want to pause and like unpack some stuff because so here we just finished a book. It's brand new. It comes out in a week, basically in a week it's coming out. But in it, what we talk about is people always ask us what kind of results can we expect from a virtual assistant? And I always reply to them, tell me about your systems
Yep.
And then we'll talk about what the results will look like, because a company's growth or success is all about their systems and process. And nobody likes hearing that, because we're all salespeople. We like people. We don't like systems, but you're that weird guy that loves systems. So help me prove my point. The thing that I wrote about that I have to tell our clients every single day, why is the system so important to the real estate person?
Oh man. I mean, everything we do in systems, and it actually helps. So like, as we were starting to grow our sales side, the first year we did 16, the second year we did 119, but in between that second year, I might get my dates wrong if I throw the dates off, but we were at about 60 listings and 52 closings, and I had no admin.
Right.
Just like every other successful entrepreneur, we're control freaks. We do everything. I think I can do it better. So it was tough. And it wasn't until I found Jared James Coaching.
Yes.
And I'm already successful, right? I've already closed 52 deals on my own, 70 listings. I'm going to be successful, but the wheels of the bus were coming off.
Yep.
And once I got my coach, first thing he did is have me hire an admin, create an LLC, create an S Corp for this. And we started running it like a business. So even though I had that business experience from these big companies, when you're in the midst of it, I know what I need to do, but you don't have time.
And so you need a coach. You need a coach.
The accountability for coaching was unbelievable for me.
Yep.
So I had my finances. We had started getting everything organized. I hired a full-time admin, not a VA, full-time admin as my first ad, right about the first coaching call, basically. We started, we started interviewing and walking me through it. And she's still with me today, and she does a fantastic job, and she's helping close 300 deals a year is amazing.
Yep.
But once we got, I would say and she's been with me maybe 15 months.
Hold on. I want to ask you a question. Why didn't you know that you needed an assistant before you got to 60 transactions? Like, you need an assistant at 25 to 30 transactions typically, but what was the mindset that you had that you want to like put on display? Now looking back, what was the thing?
I would do it all different now, but I didn't know we were going to grow that fast. We came out with like a unique, like we were talking before this, right? I just think different than everyone else. So I'm always strategizing. I try to be different than every other real estate agent out there. So I'm always strategizing that. Then I would try it and do certain things, and then something took off, right? And then I got a big client, and then the client got bigger, and then you performed for that client. Then you're the number one agent for that client. Now they're giving you more. It all happens so fast, right? We went from 16 closings to 119, right? It was a lot. So I think part of it is just the growth. I'm so caught up in trying to get the next deal in that even though I was a systems person, I didn't have those systems all in place.
Right.
Is the coach going, we need to stop because you're never going to get over 50 unless you start implementing.
Sure.
So we did start implementing a lot of different systems. And then maybe 5 months after I hired my first admin, we needed another one because it was changing. That's when that's when I was on actually a call with Jared James personally.
Yep.
And I was telling him about some of my stresses and successes. He thought it was excellent. And then I was telling him some of the pains I was having. He's like, why don't you hire another one?
Yeah.
And that's when we got into virtual assistants, and he told me about your company. And the process was awesome, man. It really was. So when we did the interview process with you guys, it's just awesome. It's hard to explain. Like, I can try to get a virtual assistant. I can research it and do it on your own. But your system for interviewing, laying up the candidates, you already had them tested with, I forget the name of the test now, but
it's a market force report. So it's a personality profile.
The profile test and the disc profile. Profile test, they had those. I was looking for people with certain scores on the disc profile test. They had those all lined up. If they didn't have the disc profile, they'd have them take it. And then we kind of just went there. And then I ended up finding Kenny. I kind of knew right away once I interviewed like 4 people, but I think he was the first, but I just knew. I kept coming back to, that's the guy.
Yeah.
And because we have systems in place by then, he just picks up. So the nice thing with us, we had at peak 120 listings. I'm down to like 80 listings now, but we take a lot of offers. So we've taken 823 offers this year, or some big number. And I have to prep those certain way for some institutional players and REOs, and it's a little different. So it takes a lot more paperwork and work.
Yeah.
And what it was with Kenny is I almost needed somebody 24 hours a day. I needed somebody on a night shift because offers come in at night. I needed somebody on weekends because my full-time, person works normal hours. And that's what kind of fits. So I found Kenny who could work, and he works from 3 to midnight, 5 days a week, including weekends. He's off Wednesdays and Thursdays. But basically now I have coverage 7 days a week, and 5 days a week I have like 16-hour, I have this great coverage.
Right.
So, and he just picks up where my other admin, my main assistant helps with a lot of village requirements and different things that I don't necessarily have him, but there's so much paperwork, listing agreements, price changes, contracts going in and out. We're in DocuSign all the time. He picks all that up. We use something called Trello. Trello's free.
Yep.
I love it. We love it. We have it very basic for us. It's just moving boxes.
Yeah.
And he starts in at 3 and he can see exactly where I left off or where my admin left off, what he needs to do. We have many different Trello boards, and it's I learned that from those big institutional providers where you're just bored. You're going off dashboards. You're not trying to go off memory. You're trying to get it to where everyone can see what needs to be done. And it's just worked really good for us. And
what do you think? Had Jared not introduced you to MyOutDesk, what would it look like?
My gut feeling is I knew about virtual assistants. I knew about it from 10, 12 years ago. And I always thought that would be a good idea. It could save me some money too. I was just back then, and you're just, and I probably would have tried it on my own, but I think I realized the difference now. Like there's no way. Like you guys, because you lined it up like a job interview. I mean, you had the meetings, the video calls, you guys had it all lined up. It just wouldn't have worked that way for me to try to find somebody local. So to me, it would have been worth a little bit of extra money it might cost to do that. I might have been able to get a virtual assistant a little cheaper. There's no way. They're coming in trained, you've trained them. It's kind of a no-brainer, to be honest with you, when you see it now. But
what you're saying is you appreciate our systems and processes.
Yes.
I love it.
Because it makes it easier, right? Because for me to try to figure out all of that, just to get the best candidate, I wouldn't even know I'm interviewing the best candidates. You guys, I told you what I was looking for, and it was a little unique. It wasn't just an admin. It was somebody who could be an admin, but could transition to an ISA if I wanted to. And that's the kind of skill set we look for.
I love it.
That's what we have. So.
Okay, so a couple questions. When you're thinking about what's next for you, because you're at the 300 mark and your next kind of mountain to climb is 600 and things change at 600, what's the work you're doing right now to go from 300 to 600 in the next couple of years? Yeah, so
once again, my mindset is way different. I am not your traditional agent at all.
Yep.
So we have some plans to expand into kind of, I'd just say, different products without going into everything in Illinois. So I want to keep expanding in Illinois. We should be obviously one of the top agents in Chicago and Illinois this year. I'm not a team person. A lot of people force you want to do a team. I want to stay individual.
Yep.
I want systems. I want less people. I don't want to manage people. I did that in the institutional where I managed 46 people. I love the real estate part and I love the big numbers and the systems. I didn't like managing people.
Wait, I have a question. So is it you, your wife, your admin, and a virtual assistant? And there's four of you?
That's exactly it. My wife used to be a licensed leasing agent. She let that go about a year ago, and she does all my marketing, some of my marketing, but mostly she does my virtual. We own like the Matterport 3D virtual camera. Yeah. We have to also, for some of these big providers, we have to, like today, she's out. We got 2 new listings. And she's out walking properties because every 2 weeks we have to do property inspections.
Right.
And then if we have a 3D tour that we need to do, she would go do that. So she kind of focuses on that. I have my full-time admin. I have Kenny, who's full-time, my virtual assistant. And then I have one other person who is a part-time MLS assistant. It's actually an agent who doesn't practice much from our office, who just puts them on the MLS. And I pay her, small fee for every listing.
I love it. So, okay, cool, man. So with 4.5 people, you'll do 300 transactions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you might be #1 in the country for smallest team with the most volume. I've never heard somebody doing that much with that small of a team.
Yeah, and they're full service. The thing you don't have to battle over is I don't have to battle the clients right now. Like I'm not in a mode where I'm looking for more business. I'm looking to try to sustain the business and grow those clients. Someday that'll go down, and then I'll have to come up with different things. I have some other plans where we're expanding in different areas too. It's, I have a unique mindset for that. I've been licensed in Wisconsin. I'm licensed in Minnesota, licensed in Georgia. Take my North Carolina test next week. It's kind of just, it's a little different. I don't want to get into all that because but we have plans to keep expanding as much as we can individually, maybe with some limited services in other states and getting into some flat fee stuff and some other creative things. But here in Illinois, we're pretty much working as a full service. And started getting, I just took it took me a while, but I just got my third REO listing. Took me a while to get into that business, but now I just got in with an REO provider and they just gave me my third listing. So slowly doing that, and my ultimate goal and dream would be to work with builders.
There you go.
Me personally want to stay away from the one-on-one seller. It's hard to do big numbers with 300 sellers, right? So I gravitate towards trying to find the people who own the most property, could use the expertise of systems and a guy like us, give them better pricing too, because we're going to do 100 deals or 50 or 25 or 10. Builders would really be where I want to end up as my ultimate goal.
Yeah, perfect. Where do you see you growing your virtual team, like as you expand to these different kind of states and also grow your business in Illinois? What's your next step with hiring virtual assistants?
Yeah, well, I didn't know that like 3 days ago, and I think I know that now because we just expanded in a couple other states with a different brokerage, and the one state, Georgia, it's taken off really quick. Like I've only been there a couple weeks, and we got 10 listings. So it's probably going to be bigger than I thought it was, and so I think I probably end up needing another virtual assistant just to manage that business, not my Illinois business, not the one that we did 300 this year. But as I start getting into other services, I think probably that's where we're at. In fact, I just had yesterday research a back-end system to start storing all the paperwork to make sure. So I'm working with some transaction systems that I might use across multiple states to help me kind of do that. So it's always changing. Like we're going so fast compared to the average agent, I guess. But
what is okay, in your opinion, because you've been with us almost a year, around 10 months. In your opinion, what should a virtual assistant do for a client that's doing the kind of volume you're doing?
Yeah.
Like
so
the highest and best uses.
Yeah, this is probably, I probably have a good answer for this. I'll just give you a little backing because I would have been a horrible person to ask this to a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Because I was a control freak to no end. And if you ask my wife or my assistant, they might still say that. But when I hired my first assistant here, I basically hired her and told her that. That was in my interview. I'm a control freak. Like I need you to look at me. I have a lot of ideas. I think I can take things to the next level, but you have to stop me from myself. So if you see me running out the door to go do something that you can do, that somebody else can do, we have to do that. So
do you have a safe word for your wife and an assistant when you're all the crazy ideas?
I don't, but it's funny. I don't, but and my assistant works from home now too. So because we work from home, I'm working from, we don't work in an office, but so now she works from home. But when we were training her, we were there. But it's funny you say that. When I first met my wife years ago during that investments we were doing, I'm a talker. So my wife would be there and she would come in and like try to get me to stop talking because I would tell my secrets and how we were raising money or capital. I'm a pretty open guy. And she would give me, we would have a signal where it was like, we got to go, we got a meeting or something like that to get me to stop talking. But but no. So, but in answer to your question is, I was really bad at that. And then I started trying to, when you start getting this much volume of listings, and next year it's going to be way more. I had to try to help myself learn time management, and a little bit through coaching. I used to ask those questions, but I think one of the biggest things I learned, have you ever heard of something called the Eisenhower decision box or matrix?
Yeah.
I never knew it that name, but I've seen it before. And it's like where you kind of, something's urgent and important, or urgent, not, or, important, not urgent, and that type of thing. So urgent things come along, something happens to your family, your kid skins their knee and we got to go to school, or, that always overtakes everything. But then there's the important things that I need to do, but then there's important things that could be delegated. That's where I've gotten better. My VA, I used to just have certain things. Now, every chance I get, I can think of what can I take off my plate.
Yes.
And that's where I've gotten better. I mean, you've heard people say that, and it's tough when you're doing it, but Now I really don't have time because I'm trying to study test in other states while we're doing all this. And so what happens is I've gotten a lot better at that part of it. The last part of this little box, or this Eisenhower decision matrix, is to delete things you don't need to do. And that's where I'm horrible. I delete nothing. I keep it on my plate forever. That's going to be the next stage of my development, is finally going, this isn't worth it. Like, I want to implement this new website or new squeeze page or I got to X that until I need it more. So I have a lot of ideas and concepts and different URLs and all kinds of stuff I want to do. I keep them on my plate forever. I don't touch them. They just, sit there. Sooner or later, I got to just do that stage. But I have gotten better at the delegation, just because I can't do everything anymore.
So what are the things that you love giving Kenny and you can see massive value in giving a virtual assistant? What are the real, for the people who are listening, who've never tried a virtual assistant, who don't have a coach like Jared, what should they give up?
Oh my God, the paperwork. I hate paperwork with a passion. I cannot, I used to do it all too. And it was hard, and I got good at it. I figured out systems within our back office. I used to upload them all. And then I'm like, wait, there's a unique email address. You can just, in DocuSign, attach that email that'll automatically put it back. So sooner or later, I learned it, but it's paperwork. I don't like touching any paperwork anymore. So to have my admins go in there and prep the docs, I still approve everything. I'm still a control freak that way. I approve everything, but all my offers get prepped. I review them. I put my personal comments and send them. When we do our listings, our contracts, they all get prepped in DocuSign. I go in and approve them.
Well, see, here's the reason, because you're the expert. You're getting paid for what's in your brain and your experience, and they're getting paid to do all the busy work before you come and make a decision.
Correct. Yeah. And they're doing, and I know on the contract what's missing, and they may not, they're not licensed. So, but they go in, just do their best to prep it. And then there's a lot of times I'm making changes, but I don't care, because that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm looking at this going, this date doesn't make sense. They don't know that. I'm not even teaching them that. I'm just teaching them, hey, scan it put it into DocuSign, put the initials where you think it needs to be, right? Help me out here, and then we'll do that. And then we move it on. So there's an actual, when they're done, they move it in Trello, and it tells me which ones I need to approve.
Yeah, it says, Stephen, you have work to do.
Yeah, and part of me is still has that control guy in me, and I take all my own calls. I've never had my admins ever talk to leads, realtors. I still do all that.
Right.
I mean, they'll help with village requirements, or if we need to get a signature on a village form, my admin will call, but none of my calls go to my staff yet. I'm not at that stage of my elevation yet, right? I've just been doing it a couple of years. So, but I kind of like that too. They're not licensed, and I'm not going to have them do anything even remotely to license. So, the other thing I do is I have Kenny. I'm in multiple MLSs now. And I have my main MLS here in Chicago. I have that woman I told you that helps out. Kenny, in my downstate Illinois, we did an expansion, and he is my assistant in downstate. So he preps all my MLS listings for downstate Illinois. Right. I had to register him with the MLS, and he's a non-licensed assistant, but he can then do that work. So so that's helped out greatly there. I have him do a lot of research for me. Yeah. Too. But we're so busy with paperwork and listings, and he doesn't even know. He's been off 2 days. He'll come in today. He'll be in the MLS edit. We had several price changes yesterday. We got some new listings. We relisted. He'll be a busy guy today. So
I love it. Well, if Stephen hasn't made the case for systems and processes, I want you guys to get this book. So we're going to put it in the show notes so you can get a copy of it. But we talk exactly about where you were at 60 deals and how to get to 300. And it's 100% because of the systems and processes. Oh, yeah. So, and then who you hire and how you onboard them. What was the piece? How did you get Kenny kind of up to speed with all of the different things that you had him do? What was that process like?
Yeah, well, and I think I learned this going back to my coaching, to be honest with you. So when I was coached through the Jared James coaching, right? My coach is Charles out of Wisconsin. When I first hired my full-time admin, he knew my type personality. He's a full-time coach. He does this all over. And he goes, I know your type, high ADD. You guys just want to go on. You want to say, hey, here it is, do it, show you once, and then think they got it. He stopped me. He's like, I've seen people fail over and over by not training them. So he basically said, you're going to take your admin. She's going to come to your house every day. You're going to teach her every day for a month. He goes, I don't care if you don't get any new business. I don't care. Like, he was like, your personality, you need to do this. And that's what I did.
1 month.
One full month. We moved my laptop, and my wife works from home too. So we moved all our stuff to the dining room table. My admin would come in every day for a month, and I taught her DocuSign until she was an expert. I taught her this until she knew what it was.
So wait a minute. That means you had to give up something. Like for a whole month, you couldn't do as much business or some.
In theory, yeah. I mean, I was still doing stuff, but I'm telling you, I sat there and this is what we did. Now, remember, we're a little different because I'm not going on a ton. Back then I was, but a ton of listing appointments anymore.
Yep.
Back then I probably went on 60 or 80 that year or something.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right. I just had to slow it down for that month, period.
Oh, okay. So how long before she was like 100% competent and you could trust her?
Oh, and she was pretty good in a month because we spent hours and hours going over the same thing. Now, we didn't know there were certain things we didn't even have implemented yet because I didn't know, like the village requirements are a big thing for us because we have to handle that. Here we have to pay water bills, all the stuff, inspections. We're responsible for our clients to go to these.
Yep.
We didn't have any of that in Trello. And then we finally figured out a way to systematize everything. So early on, she picked up easy because I didn't know all the tasks I needed. And then as we kept growing, we were like, wait, why aren't we monitoring closing or village requirements or inspections? And now we have spreadsheets on all the cities in in Chicago area. We know up front when this happens, she automatically sends a fax to this village telling them that we need this. So she helped a lot with the systems but I hired her based on a DISC profile.
Yep.
It said that this is what I needed. And it's exactly what I got, to be honest.
And because you hired right and then spent a month training her, and then you were there was a lot of ongoing support. She could call you or email you or ask you for help for 6 months or so before she was like fully trained.
Yeah, I would say so, because then we started having her work from home. She would come in 1 or 2 days a week.
Yep.
And sooner or later, we realized with the internet, you can do everything through instant chat or any, all that stuff. So we're there all day long talking. She just sends something. Did you see this?
What would happen if I took a Trello away from you?
Ooh, it would be trouble now. But because even as we get everything we get new, we send it to an email address, specific email address, and then it puts it on our board, and then we process it. It's all automatic.
That's how you know if you have a real system. If you would be dead in the water if I took that away, that would be it.
It would be tough because that's what I'm going off of, right? We don't everything. We get a listing, it goes here. A contract goes into my accepted contracts, and then it starts that process. Yep. And they're all emails just flowing the paperwork to the right bucket. And then I have people monitoring that bucket 16 hours a day, 5 days a week and weekends,
Yeah. When you think of all the work that you did with your first admin, how did Kenny benefit a virtual assistant coming into that mix to be able to kind of draw on all that knowledge and skill? Like, what did that look like?
The biggest thing was I knew I had to take time with Kenny when I did it. That was the biggest thing because especially there, it's different. There could be, Kenny speaks great English, but it's a different culture. It's a different environment. Yep. And I knew if I want to have him learn some of the same tricks here, that I'm going to have to take time to do that.
How much time did you take?
I'm sometimes still, sometimes it's because we have so many changes. I'm sometimes still doing that because I didn't take as much time as that, but I would show him something for a couple hours. And I think that here's a better way to say this. With Kenny, I actually dialed into his computer and would do it when I first started. I haven't done that in months. But when we first started going back thinking 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 4 weeks, I would dial in to show him the new process into his computer. And then I have multiple screens. Sometimes I have 3 screens. I'm crazy with that. But I would have him and watch him doing it. Yeah. And then he would have a question. He would just chat me. And that's actually how we did it, thinking back. I just watched his screen, taught him, and then he would have questions and he wouldn't understand something and we would show him.
Talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there, you just got to make sure people understand, here or there, virtual or not. My brain moves so fast.
If it hadn't have worked, if it hadn't have worked, would it have been your fault or Kenny's fault? I
think it would have been my fault.
Talk about that.
Yeah, because I think I only know from Kenny, but I think so far the virtual assistant, right, is the only one I really know. They're very capable of doing so much more than you think they are. Like, we put that title on, they're a human being Kenny's a smart guy. Like, you meet him all of them that I interviewed were, right? I was looking for somebody maybe with good English, just in case they needed to be an ISA. There were certain things I looked for, but personable guy, nice guy, friendly, it just surprises you. I don't know what we think, right? Because it's so far away and through a computer, but they're human beings who want to do a good job. Like, they want to excel. Right. And if you got to allow them and give them the tools to do that. Yep. And I think I learned that from coaching and then working with Kenny. You realize, and not everything's always perfect, but then we'll go back and correct it. But you only have to show them a couple times and then you got it. Just like we do, right? You would have to show me a couple of times if I was learning your systems, right? Where you're at. So I think that's some of the biggest tricks. I wouldn't go into it in not thinking you have to put a little upfront work in. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So Jared's, we love this guy, right? You and me. I mean, he has made such an impact on your business, on so many people's lives. Talk real quickly about what you've gotten from that coaching program and the fact that MyOutDesk and Jared kind of work together to help people grow and scale.
Yeah. Now, coaching has been, Jared had me on stage and everything that when I met you. So it has been life-changing for me. I do believe I was that person. Like, I'm that person. Like, I even on stage, I think I wrote Jared a letter when I first joined coaching a year earlier that basically said my only goal wasn't financial. I told this to my coach. It was to be on the Jared James stage at the Advance, because I knew he had the most successful people. So I was always driven to do that and and that was my goal that year, was to get on that stage. And that's what we did, right? But the coaching, there's so many, in a nutshell, it's the accountability for me. I'm a smart guy. I can create, I'm creating things now that my coaches don't even understand. I'm doing things, but I still need coaching because I need somebody to hold me accountable. And what are your goals this month? What are your goals for the quarter? What are your goals for the year? Here it is. Well, even if they don't know what the heck I'm doing because I'm a little out there, they're holding me accountable to them. So biggest thing for me was accountability. Mm-hmm. But the number one thing coaching did was change it into a business. The difference between me and an agent who's just a one-man show somewhere else, I'm a business. I'm trying to be a listing machine. Running it like a business that's meant to be a listing, not an agent working out of my house doing 300 deals. That's what I do. That's not how I'm set up. I have a corporation. I have platforms. I have an offer platform right now that we can be getting an offer in that'll ring my text, ring my seller at the same time. We use a system for that. We have systems for systems for everything. And the biggest thing I'd say is the accountability and then running it as a business. Mm-hmm. We use a great program for our financials. Anybody who's doing like a ton of listings or transactions, should I share that or?
Yeah.
It's CTE. It's a
commitment to excellence
or something. It was written by a Keller Williams agent. Cost me $30 a month, and I learned about that my first coaching call, and it is the best. I use it. I'm in it 3 hours a day. Always have it up on my screen.
Right.
It's awesome for somebody who's doing this much listings, and now I'm getting into other states. It just keeps it so organized. It's just like a massive spreadsheet if you know about it, but it's way more than that.
Right.
And it basically is, I think coaching also teaches you to track your results. Right. Don't waste your time doing stuff that's not working. And CTE is actually really good with that too. But the combinations of the tools they provided, obviously mentioning your company, but when we were at the Advance, they're talking about Agent Legend. I'm already on Agent Legend. I'm already on a lot of the stuff the coaches promote. And I kind of just follow what they tell you. They're the experts. They're the coaches, right? I might be working at a different level, but all those tools have been just has perfectly fit, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that I love about what you're sharing and what Jared James does and how we all work together is, like, as an entrepreneur, you and we're crazy, and we need sometimes a sounding board to help make sure that what we're thinking is like can actually be done, right? And then keep us focused on what's important. And so that's why I love being in a partnership with Jared and being able to serve clients like you guys. And for anybody who's interested, Jared obviously knows what he's doing in coaching. We have a tie-up where when you get a virtual assistant and mention Jared and coaching with Jared, you get a discount. So it's really important that you have a great coach, the right systems and processes, and then virtual assistants just always work. It just always works.
Yeah.
I agree. This has been amazing. Thank you for your time today, Stephen.
No, you got it, sir. Thanks.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Yep.